to be handed to them. And you know what? It's not going to be handed to any of us. It's going to take all of us fighting together against Trump and his billionaire allies to win.
This is how we win. We win when we stand shoulder to shoulder with educators, with community members, with students, and with our families, standing shoulder to shoulder to fight against this fascism! Fascism! So I mean fascism right here.
We have to fight because we say workers, not billionaires. Yes, my name is Judy Greenspan. I'm bringing you greetings from the Oakland Education Association. I use they, them pronouns, despite Trump's denial of my existence. And I am proud to be here representing Oakland teachers and educators in this fight for all of our rights. The OEA has a long history of activism in the Bay and around the state against racism, occupation, and right-wing attacks on our communities. We are firmly opposed to immigration raids and the terrorization of our undocumented indigenous communities. We have even begun to organize our own rapid response network for our students. At the same time, we fought against police brutality. We demanded an end to the presence of Oakland police in our schools. We cherish and support the rights of LGBTQ plus students and union members. We will not tolerate the attacks on transgender youth. We are here today to protect our students in our most vulnerable communities. Let's look at what's happening on college campuses around the state. Students who dare to speak out against the U.S.-backed Israeli war on Palestine are being jailed. Some are being deported. Many are being denied the opportunity to graduate. In response, students are going on hunger strikes around the state and around the country. We must support these students. We must speak out for academic freedom, not only on the campuses, but in our classrooms. We must not let anyone intimidate us with phony claims of anti-Semitism. I'm a Jewish educator, and I support Palestine. We must defeat bills like Assembly Bill 715, which you'll hear about, that limit free speech for educators. So we refuse to be silent against the genocidal war being fought by the U.S. government, and we have a role to play. We can fight to divest our pension funds in CalSTRS from military contractors that are dropping bombs or sending Caterpillar tractors to demolish homes in Palestine. We demand an arms embargo. We want all government entities to divest immediately. And we say, keep it in the streets. That's where we have ever won anything. But we're facing a crisis. It's an economic crisis and a moral one. Our work contracts are expiring. I'm on the bargaining committee for my union. We've been bargaining nonstop. We'll be bargaining more in the fall. But we can't do it alone. We need to join together, and we are joining together with other sibling unions to fight for a decent contract, to fight for ICE out of our communities, right? To fight for academic freedom in the classroom. We are part of the We Can't Wait campaign. And I want to add, we're also part of the We Won't Go Back campaign. We will not let these corporate billionaires send us back. We will will not let them get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion. When I mean teaching the real people's history in the classroom and appreciating and loving all of our students. We are joining with not only teachers, but with cafeteria workers, with school secretaries, with all of our sibling unions, so that we can be stronger together. But we have our work cut out for us. There is an attack by Trump, and I will tell you that some of his policies are really just a continuation of what Biden was already doing, particularly in the area of deportation. So we have to be clear. Over the next year, we will be pushed out of our comfort zones. We will be forced to organize in broader, more dynamic coalitions. Many of our unions will go on strike, right, due to failed negotiations. Let the history of this plaza lead the way. Right over there, Harry Bridges Plaza. Harry Bridges, a longshoreman, a longshore worker, a comrade who led a strike in 1934 for the maritime workers, shut down all the ports. It became a general strike. We need to move toward that. Labor has the power to shut it down, and our power has not been tapped since the 1930s. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Right, it is. I know it's up to me. It's up to us to launch a broad struggle against the attacks on education, on all working people. Our strength is in our numbers. Let's keep it in the streets. Let's fight for schools and housing. I didn't even talk about Gavin Newsom and his war on the unhoused. We need to fight for a contract and for human dignity, and we need to join with all working people in all of the communities. Every worker deserves a union. And remember, I'm going to end with this before they bring the cane out and drag me off. We say in our union, and I know you've heard it too, when we fight, we win!
I'm here to fight for our schools because the Department of Ed is an important thing and they need to keep it and fund our schools fully.
And why are they trying to shut down the Department of Education?
For privatization, and so that they can get their charter schools and private schools more money when our public schools are the ones that need to be funded.
And what does that mean, privatization? I mean, it means more charter schools, vouchers. How would that affect students and teachers, staff in California?
It's more charter schools and vouchers are basically kind of funding the rich because there aren't that much money they're not enough money for the average person to go to a charter school or a private school, but the wealthy get a discount on their private schools that they're going to go to anyway.
There are over 170 billionaires in California. Why do we have an education problem, public education?
It's our taxes, and we need to be taxing our companies a lot more, our corporations. They don't pay their fair share, and so that's the biggest thing, and then taxing appropriately based on pay scales.
And what school district are you from?
Palo Alto.
My name is Julissa Huerta. I strongly believe I work in a public school, and I do believe that we need funds. Our kids need the support, and we cannot run schools like if they were a business. We really need to see them as a social service, and our kids need the money for different programs, so we need to fight for them.
And what's happening at your school? Are you concerned about your condition?
Yeah, so I'm in a Title I school, so when we cut Title I funds, then it affects various programs that we run in my school. Yeah.
Like what? How is it going to affect students?
The students will not have, for example, programs like extra support for reading materials, extra support for just having the extra resources, like if we need a digital program, if we need maybe even food. Like I know that Title I can support even sometimes when we need certain activities, resources, materials. So that's kind of like how I see it.
So it seems like they're increasing the money for war the military budget? Do you think that
whatever they're increasing it for war, it doesn't make any sense to have money for war and not enough money for education. Yes, so it's wrong.
What school district you?
I work at Eastside Union High School District for James Lake High School.
My name is Ms. Blanco, and I am here today to support our students and our communities and future generations of students.
And what concerns do you have about what's happening in education?
I'm really concerned with our Trump administration cutting funds to our most vulnerable populations of kids, kids with IEPs, kids with 504s, and kids who are immigrants.
And their position is that immigrant kids, if they're undocumented, shouldn't get public funding. What's your view about that?
No, I think our immigrant population needs just as much support as our students do. They need food, they need education, and they're here because they want the American dream in the end. And so we need to support them.
I mean, California's a wealthy state, 170 billionaires.
Yeah.
Why is there a problem funding education?
That's a great question. I feel it's because we haven't settled on our priorities or values, and that we need to value our kids, regardless of if they're rich or billionaires or millionaires.
And you have Musk, you have billionaires who have a lot of property, Zuckerberg. How come they're not taxing them? There's no oil depletion tax in California?
I think we do need to tax them. If we look at all other developed countries, they also have a proportion that they tax. So I think we need to model ourselves with the best practices of taxing our corporations and individuals who have the funds to help us.
And this is a rally of teachers throughout the state. California CTA is California Teachers Association. Do you think there should be more of these kind of united actions?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that when we unite our voice, we are at our strongest. This is our people power. As a social studies teacher, this is how we make change. And so I really encourage people to outreach to their representatives, whether it's our state representatives or our senators, and continue to fight for the rights of our kids.
I'm Rachel with San Mateo Union High School District Teachers Association, and I'm here to fight for our schools and protect public education.
And what is the problem? Why don't we have enough money for education?
Because they continue to cut funding at the federal level and the state level, and decrease our budget over and over and over again, so our public schools get less and less money every year.
And are you concerned about charter schools? Because I know that Larry Ellison, Oracle, they have a charter school on his campus. I mean, what does it say about the fact that people are paying for charter schools for billionaires charter?
Of course. I think it says that they don't trust public education and public teachers, and they want to spend their money and design schools the way they think that schools should be designed, and they should trust us as experts.
And what concerns you about shutting down Title I, how that would affect yours?
My two biggest concerns are it's going to hurt our most marginalized students the most, our students who continue to be disserviced by the public education system defunding schools. I also am really worried about special education funds going away for our students who need it the most.
What would that mean to special education students?
It would mean that it's up to the school districts to fund their own special education departments, and when our funding is already going down, it just means that they're not going to get the services and supports that they need.
These are basic rights for the students?
Absolutely. The most basic rights for our students are going away when they take away the Department of Education.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course, thank you.
And an educator and a librarian and a peer educator and every single thing else it needs to create a vibrant public education. We cannot wait because our kids can't wait, our families can't wait, our educators can't wait, because this is a country that's currently under attack, and we are going to do what? Stand up, fight back! We're going to do what? Stand up, fight back! We're going to do what? Stand up, fight back!
To keep a roof over our heads, to put food on our table, to access vital medical care. I know firsthand what it's like to navigate the system on behalf of my son, so he can have everything that he needs to reach his fullest potential, to not just access a free and appropriate education, but a quality education that allows him the tools that he needs to ultimately be the best version of who he can be. He is extraordinary, and he is my everything. I know personally what is at stake here. And I'm here today because the cuts and the decisions that are being made by the Trump administration will drastically impact the disability community at large and my family personally. So this is a call to action. I am asking everybody to unify, to fight against the potential cuts to Medicaid, which could impact an estimated 13.7 million Americans, most of which are disabled and already living in poverty. I have more. Hang on. I am asking for us to unite and fight against the drastic, estimated 1 billion cuts to mental health supports and the 600 million cuts to teacher training and grants. I am asking for us to fight against the draconian cuts to Title I funding and Head Start funding, all of which impacts my family and my community again and again and again. I am asking for us to fight against the already dismantling of the Federal Department of Education that houses and fights for the civil rights of my child on a daily basis. They have already closed. Thousands of federal offices and thousands of federal employees have already been laid off, in which, out of those, they were already in the process of navigating over 7,000 civil rights and discrimination cases, including 3,300 complaints for disability rights.
My name's Craig Gordon.
What's going on here today? Why are you here? What's going on and why are you here today?
Well, I'm a teacher and mostly retired substitute, though, teacher now in Oakland Unified School District and a member of Oakland Education Association. And I'm here because, you know, I'm really glad to see that we have now a statewide network that's willing to, you know, talk about how we have to address funding and you know, achieving what we call school students deserve with all the money that's in this wealthy state. But I'm also hoping to interest a lot of folks here in making sure that what we really focus on is that we need to redistribute corporate wealth and billionaire wealth in this state.
Well, you have a Democratic supermajority. The unions have been supporting, the CTA has been supporting the Democrats, Newsom. Why aren't they going after the 170 billionaires in California?
Well, because the Democrats are a party of oligarchy, just like the Republicans are, and, you know, they do talk more about and are more favorable to some funding for public education than the Republicans, but won't really go after the fundamental issue because they're too, you know, they're too beholden to, you know, the billionaires who fund the Democratic Party.
And charters are growing in California. They're threatening to close public schools, but they're keeping the charters open. What do you think about the growth of charters? And this is under the Democrats, and even the CTA and the CFT supported charters.
Yes, I mean, you know, we know that the privatization under, you know, No Child Left Behind and then Race to the Top and all the charters and other forms of privatization that happened under both Republicans and Democrats. It was totally a bipartisan project, and you know, I just think that, you know, it's easy to forget that, especially when you know, a Republican, and as a Republican like Trump is in office, I think our memories tend to be short, and you know, I think it's hard for a lot of us to see, well, what do we do, because we only have two choices, but we have to really. It's a dead end. So we're going to need to organize on a rank and file basis to really push for making We Can't Wait about, you know, going after the real money.
What about a Labor Party? Why? What about a Labor Party? About workers having their own political party?
Labor Party would be great.
You think you're going to get it with the Democrats?
I'm all for a Labor Party. Yeah.
And this is the first rally that the CTA has called, statewide rally. You think there should be more, and you think that there should be a united front of all public workers, education workers in California?
Oh, absolutely. There should be more of these, and there's going to need to be coordinated strikes, really, you know, in a bunch of unions, especially the large urban unions, but a lot of the others that are in the We Can't Wait coalition and beyond, to to not only try to boost our bargaining campaigns locally, which would be fine, but to actually focus on demanding and forcing, the Democrats or the, legislature to basically, to take back the billions of dollars that should be in the public sector.
And the FICMAT is being used to impose cutbacks, closing of schools. What about FICMAT and its role in Oakland and other districts?
Well, I mean, FICMAT's just part of the same system that is being used to force austerity on in Oakland, where I teach, and in San Francisco, and a bunch of other districts.
Is the CTA calling for a closure of FICMAT? I mean, it's supported by Tony Thurmond and the Democrats.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, I have not heard any such call. No.
Why not? Isn't it
for the same reason I just said? Yeah, for the same reason I just said. It's not really willing to go after the fundamental issue and to challenge the corporate power that is behind privatization and austerity. And we talk about fully funding, but we don't really define what that means, and we have to define what that looks like. It requires far more than just a little tweak and a little fix here and there, or just making our school districts spend the money better, which they must. It requires like massively increasing what's spent on public education and other public services, and for that you need to, really get it from the capitalists.
Well, the Democrats have a supermajority in the legislature. They could pass bills. They could pass an oil depletion tax. But is there any call by the CTA on the Democrats and Newsom to actually tax the bill?
Well, yeah, like we said, they're not, and they've been in this position for years, and I hope we can start noticing that. And I think that there's chance for something better when we increase the pressure. A Labor Party, I would be all for a Labor Party, and if that can be organized, I would support that. I don't think it's going to be, that would be a step, but we also need to have, really a lot of direct action by workers, not only teachers, but teachers can be, that's who's here, educators and other public school workers and other workers, to turn the heat up on the political system to force it to cough up much more or force much more of that private wealth into the public sector. I should also be specific, when I say that we need so much more in our, in public schools, because most teachers understand we could do so much, the students would do so much better and could have so much better chances to succeed with far smaller class size. I mean, the studies show 15 or less can often be very beneficial.
How are you going to get that?
Huh?
How are you going to get that? They're cutting the staff.
You get the small, very small classes, like they have in elite private schools, and the direct support from
general strike. It doesn't require a general strike, a mass mobilization.
Perhaps, but I just want to note also more direct support, for students, from much more direct supports, counselors and many other types of direct support, and more time for teachers to prep and to become better teachers. That all costs a lot of money, as well as fixing all the horrible problems in the buildings and the classrooms physically that we need to address.
My name is Cassandra. I'm the president of United Educators. Thank you for coming to our city. The 6,000 of us here in SFUSD, we're classified and certificated, and we are in the middle of a fight, just the same type of fight that the rest of you are in, all around the Bay Area, and we know that's true across California. We are fighting for our schools. We know that the problem here in California is Californians to solve, but we also didn't go looking for a national fight. Trump brought that to us, right? And he chose the wrong ones. Right? Because in California, we know that our education system has been chronically underfunded for 4 decades before I was born. Right? We have been suffering the consequences of folks not paying their fair share across California. We even tried to solve the problem because teachers are always looking for solutions. We tried to put schools and communities first on that ballot prior to COVID. Do you remember doing that? And the issue is we're not here to solve this problem anymore because we aren't the ones who created it. But we are going to be a problem for anybody who stands in our way, right? Like the kids say, we'll be the whole problem. Right?
Keep up the good work, ladies.
Our tax dollars are supposed to go to fund our public schools all the way from the They do not want to ensure that the truth is taught. They do not want to ensure safe spaces for immigrant, LGBTQIA persons, anyone that they deem not going to give them a favor. And that is none of us. Let's be real. Right? We have been fighting the fight for just schools for a very long time. Many of the unions here, I see so many of you have put forward so much time, effort at the bargaining table with your superintendents in your classrooms to fight for what's right in schools. In your classrooms, you are focused on social justice. At the school level, you are focused on welcoming and inviting environments for every single student. You are doing the work. And now it's time for everybody the hell else to get involved. It is imperative that you take this fight. This energy right here is what we need to carry forward. Every single one of your colleagues that you represent here today need to hear about needing to be involved in this fight as we go forward, because no matter what title, issue, problem they decide to put in the news, that they're going to cut, that they're going to attack, that they're going to underfund, there is absolutely no middle ground, compromise, or negotiations with the entities like the Trump administration who seek to oppress us and our students. There is no compromise. There is no backing down. We have to take this all the way through. And, like someone said before, we weren't doing okay before him either. Right? Our schools have been underfunded for a very long time, whether blue, red, Democrat, Republican, upside down, I don't care. They weren't doing what they needed to do in the first place because they prioritized enriching their own bank accounts rather than ensuring we had what we needed. Boom. And any compromise to ensure that they're able to keep doing that is an absolute red line in the sand. We are not going to back down. This is the first of many times when we're getting together, and we absolutely have to take our fight to the state. I don't care who is the governor. We have to take our fight all the way through to get sure that our tax dollars are put where they're supposed to be, and that the people who are currently making money surrounded, we're going to march over to them, that are hoarding our money, that are stealing from kids, are not allowed to do so in the future. We are taking that out. And the federal government, they can come for it too. Because once we're done with California, we're taking it to the DC area. Look, y'all, we're playing the long game. We're playing the long game. All of us, I know we're playing the long game in CTA. We're playing the long game in UESF. We're taking this to the streets all the way through 2028, and I'm happy to see that you're in the fight with me. Thank you for being here, and let's do this.
Buenas tardes a todos. Gracias por la invitación. Yo soy Brenda Córdoba, copresidente de la mesa directiva con Fe en Acción, área de la Bahía.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Brenda Córdoba, co-president of the Board of Directors of Faith in Action Bay Area.
Necesitamos unirnos, hermanos, todos. No podemos permitir derecho que no se defiende, derecho que se pierde.
We have to unite siblings because a right that is not defended is a right that is lost.
La educación hay que invertir demasiado, tanto en educación como en vivienda verdaderamente accesible. No podemos permitir 3,000 niños durmiendo en la calle.
We have to invest in education just as we have to invest in affordable housing. It is not okay. We cannot permit that we have 3,000 children living in the streets here in San Francisco.
Educación y vivienda van conectados de la mano. Por eso los invitamos a todos a unirnos. No podemos permitir que inviertan en otros beneficios que no nos traen beneficio a nuestra familia ni a nuestros niños.
Education and housing are essential things that we have to invest in together, and so we can't permit that they invest in other things that don't bring benefits to our children and our communities.
Por eso, como dice César Chávez, ¿sí se puede?
¡Sí se puede! And not for billionaire profit making! Not for billionaire profit making! That's right! There's so much wealth! Just like we have heard from all our speakers so far, and that we could be funding here. We could be funding public education and be treating it like a human right. And we could be funding public housing and also be treating it like a human right. And what about healthcare? There's so much that we could be doing here at home, right? Instead of funding the billionaires in their pockets and the corporations and the greedy bosses. Next up, I would like to bring a student activist with the Protect Free City campaign for City College. Please give it up for Jing.
大家好，我是史晶，我是一名来自中国的国际生。如果当场的有你能够听到的话，知道你不是自己一个人，也有我们大家一起在。Hi everybody, my name is Jane. I'm an international student at City College of San Francisco. And I really hesitated whether I was going to say that or not. And I want us to all think about, for all the students that may not have the ability to stand in front and then say, disclose their status, disclose their gender, of all of those that are under attack under this moment, under this administration, with the city's policies. I want to talk about a victory actually, back in 2016, because it's important for us to, amidst all the rage, think about all the success that we have come across. Back in 2016, that was when community organizers, students, and faculty, just like all of us here, gathered together to pass Proposition W, to pass the real estate tax, to give San Francisco residents free tuition for City College of San Francisco. That was a victory for access to public higher education, to say to our students that we see you. With what missed all the gentrification and hate amongst immigrants, we want you here. And now that program is under attack yet again. Last year, that was when Mayor London Breed, on her way out, cut our funding from 18 million, the money that people fought for, down to 7.5 million, now endangering our public education free access. And when we say no to that, we say no. So now the cities of the students are gathering together. Now we have a Protect Free City campaign. We say that we want full reinstatement of our money. We do not want the city to break this understanding that they've already created. And we say to Mayor Lurie that we are not afraid to stand up to this administration and to demand our money back. I want to say we're a group of students that stand so solidly with, we are the students that are LGBTQ+. We have international students, we have undocumented students, and those are the students that we're looking to protect, that we need to protect, and we need your support. Money for jobs and education, not for war and occupation. Money for jobs and education, not for war and occupation. I will be passing around this petition, and I ask all of you, with your organization and your individual effort, to sign on so that we can make sure this concrete access to public education, this small fight, we win.
Why are you here today?
It's important that we stand up and fight for our students against this fascist administration.
And what is their goal, do you think, this government and the Department of Education Sure.
I mean, they don't support public schools because they know public schools do their job, which is educate, the Americans, our citizens, and they know that we also stand up for the rights of our students, and so they want to dismantle the infrastructure, and we won't let that happen.
You think privatization is a threat in public education?
It's been a threat. It's not. This is nothing new. I just think the stakes are a lot higher now.
And what would it mean to have these cutbacks of Title I in your schools and others?
Our schools just won't have the money to serve the students, right? It's just going to mean less services for students that legally deserve them, and whether it's English language learners or our students with individualized education plans, like we can't do the job without funding, and so this is all part of the bigger scheme to make us look like we're not doing our jobs.
This is the first kind of united action of the California Teachers Association. Do you think there need to be more of these kind of actions statewide?
I think that I hope that we continue to have these actions. It's important that we all get together in the same space and make our voices heard.
And the military budget seems to be increasing, $1 trillion budget. What is that relationship to public education in the United States?
It's all about choices, right? And our government has made bad choices in spending our tax dollars on military funding when they could be spending it on, our students and our communities. And that's part of why we, need to be politically active, because we have to change that. We need to change that narrative, and we need to really allocate our money better.
And there are over 170 billionaires in California.
Yeah,
some of the richest people in the world. Why aren't they? The legislature has a three-quarter majority.
I don't know. I'm not in the state legislature, right? I can't answer that question, but I think we should all be working towards making sure that the rich pay their fair share, and we know that they're not doing that right now.
My name is Kathy. Why am I here today? Because I've been in education for more than 30 years, and I don't want to see it go away, and I don't want to see cuts and students get hurt.
Are you fearful that the destruction of the Department of Education will lead to hurting students and public education in the United States?
Absolutely.
How so?
Well, I have worked for the last 20 years in special education, and if we start getting cuts there, that's going to hurt significantly. Cuts anywhere are going to hurt. In regular education, special education, education is the backbone of our country.
And the people that Trump has appointed to these departments, Department of Education, they're ideologues. They believe in Christian fundamentalism. Are you concerned about the rise of fascism in this country?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, I'm just concerned about this whole administration, basically every aspect of it. And, I think on any given day, there are many things that we could fight about right now, and today it's education.
And where do you teach at?
I'm in Santa Rosa. Yeah.
And there are over 170 billionaires in California. It seems like there are a lot of wealthy in California at the top. How come the legislature is not getting the money from them?
I don't know. It's something that really needs to change in our country, and that people pay their fair share.
My name is Brett Young, and I'm a proud union member of the ALSAL Teachers Association, and I teach in East Salinas, California. And I am here today to defend our public education because our students deserve funding to be able to get the best possible education and critical thinking skills so that the dumpster fire that is currently happening on the socio-political scene does not continue.
And some of these people, like apparently the head of the Department of Education, don't believe in public education and want to go to private schools, Christian fundamentalists. Does that concern you about where they're going?
Would I like to comment on where they're going with that? I have never encountered a private school that has adequately served students with special needs or disabilities, nor special populations such as brown kids. So I believe that all students deserve an education, not just the ones that private schools are cherry picking.
Good afternoon, Bay Area. It is great to be here with educators from all over this area, and it is so powerful to see so many out here today representing the 310,000 CTA members fighting for public education. Together, you are joining thousands of educators in San Diego, Sacramento, Los Angeles, and Hanford, demanding better futures for our students and our communities. Together, we are a force to be reckoned with. Together, we call on the Trump administration to stop threatening cuts to our schools and communities. We call on members of Congress to stand up against these threats and to do their jobs. Stand with our students and our communities. It is time to increase funding for public education and not give tax breaks to billionaires. How dare anyone threaten funding that goes directly to feeding hungry children and supporting students with disabilities in our schools? How dare anyone come after the meals for these kids living in poverty and set aside cash for tax breaks for billionaires? How dare you come after the funds that support 800,000 students with disabilities in California, programs and staff that help students with ADHD, dyslexia, and life-changing supports for our most vulnerable and overlooked special education students. We are not going to stand by and let these cuts happen. Fighting back against these cuts proposed by the federal administration is our fight, and one we must lead as educators and leaders in public education. But let's also be clear about what we're fighting for here in California. California is now the 4th largest economy in the world. We should be leading the nation with investment in public education and the communities that we serve. We know and must fight to make sure that the California dream is possible for every child and every family living in this state. We call on the legislature and the governor to pass a budget in our state that protects education funding and improves the living standards of working people and poor people in this state. The time is now to raise more revenue and stop putting public education and other critical services on the chopping block. We must protect the funds we have and go for an extension of Prop 55 in 2026. These demands for the future for our students are not far-fetched. Looking out at you today, I know it is possible. As Bruce Springsteen said 3 days ago, it is in the union of people around a common set of values. Now, that's all that stands between a democracy and authoritarianism. At the end of the day, all we've got is each other. Folks across this country, just like us, have been fighting, marching in the streets, calling representatives, spreading the word, and saying no to cuts to public education, our healthcare, our libraries, our parks, everything that we hold dear in this nation and this state. And it is working. These acts of courage, the collective power, are putting pressure where it's needed, and it's our job. No, it is our responsibility to keep the pressure going and keep building towards more and more powerful actions. So, CTA, get ready for more actions in the coming months as we continue to fight for more state and federal funding for our schools and resist any actions by the Trump administration that hurt our students and our communities. Together, we are stronger. That's right. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
My name is Audrey Norton. I work at Francisco Middle School located here in San Francisco.
And what's going on there that brought you here today?
Where do I start? Everywhere from educators not getting the benefits they deserve to not very sustainable wages, the unnecessary layoffs for classified staff, and also which affects the teachers, which translates to, which also translates to affecting the students, which we can't have.
And there's a lot of stress of students,
Yes.
their families. What concerns do you have about the students? Because it seems like they're going through a very difficult situation.
I think definitely now that President Dictator is now in the office, I think kids of color, particularly Black and Latino students, people who are students who are LGBTQ, immigrants, I think are facing a lot of bullying. I think are facing a lot of subtle discrimination that quickly becomes more obvious. And I think that the school system is failing. Part of what we have right now is failing them.
Introduce our last speaker for the day. He is Mario Fernandez with the California Faculty Association, a labor representative. Please give it up for Mario.
Allies, instigators, co-conspirators. How many of you are the result of a public education? How many of you as educators received your credentials through the CSU or your education through the UC? Thank you, the United Educators of San Francisco. I'm here, a labor representative from the California Faculty Association, representing the fire in the belly that is the San Francisco State University chapter. With its rich history in protesting and organizing going back to 1968, resulting in the first ethnic studies program in this country. In education, just as in any workplace, an injury to one is an injury to all. We not only stand in solidarity, but fight together with the staff for the United Educators of San Francisco and our labor siblings because our struggles are one. The forces attacking our students, our schools, our universities, and our livelihoods are the same forces seeking to divide and conquer working class people. These attacks on public education are part of an immoral, corrosive ideology meant to devalue and breed authoritarianism. Education is a vital cornerstone in the foundation of democracy and everything that follows. The underfunding and understaffing of K through 12 creates ripple effects that directly impact our communities and institutions where students and working class families are less secure, less prepared, and able to prosper. It weakens the educational pipeline from kindergarten through higher education, ultimately seeking to dismantle an educated and skilled populace, unable to discern truth and lies and stand against fascism. Institutions like the Department of Education are imperfect. However, the full-scale privatization and defunding of our public good of education is worse off without it. And for our most vulnerable students, the ones protected by the Individuals with the Disabilities Education Act, those folks protected under Title IX, those must be kept. That's why we demand that they fully fund those programs, both the IDEA and Title IX. Let's quickly talk about those in our schools and our communities who are under attack. Immigrant rights are worker rights. The fear and instability created by threats of deportations and kidnapping don't just harm our immigrant families in schools and university, they terrorize our communities and deprive our social future of talented individuals. And while we fight for our K through 12 siblings, let's not forget the struggles on our college campuses. We say to stop the repression at universities. Liberate our California universities. Liberate our K through 12 education system. These are the people's education. This is the people's CSU. This is where critical thinking, innovation, and skills needed for our dynamic state are honed. Repression on campus, whether through silencing dissent or limiting academic freedom, stifles the very intellectual growth essential for thriving and adaptable society. All of us are here to disrupt the narrative of austerity and declare that a fully funded, equitable, and just public education system is a fundamental right and the essential engine of our future and damn worth fighting for. We are here united because we know that the power of the people, organized and mobilized, is the only force strong enough to push back against these attacks and highlight the undeniable link between a robust, well-funded education system at all levels and of a just and prosperous society. So let's raise our voices and fight like hell for the schools our students deserve and the universities that prepare them. When we fight,
money for kids.